In studio now I have Jacqui Corcoran, Head of Communications and PR with World Vision Ireland. We've had Jacqui on before. We're delighted to help continue the publicity for Jacqui's, I suppose, what your work is, Jacqui. Just remind our listeners, what is World Vision Ireland?
Yeah, well, World Vision Ireland is part of World Vision, which is a global humanitarian and development NGO, non-government organisation. That is, our work is child-focused, so our work is rolled out in over 100 countries throughout the world, in some of the most vulnerable and challenging parts of the world, where we're dealing with poverty and hunger and malnutrition and gender-based violence and many, many issues that are impacting people. Climate, of course, being another one, around the really most challenged parts of the world.
And you had spoken to us about a number of your trips abroad and the effect that it would have on you personally, but also bringing those stories back to try and help people here understand, but also to raise money. So let's get straight to it. There's a new Enough campaign, in inverted commas, Enough. Talk to me about this campaign. It's a new 3-year global campaign. Like, this is an amazing amount of money. There's the idea of pledging $3.2 billion.
Yeah, it's a hugely ambitious programme, and it's following on from our global hunger response programme, which over the course of a year brought millions of dollars to it reached 22 million with a campaign that brought 1 billion into places and really create a difference and create a change. And you're talking about this is a response to a global hunger crisis that is hitting us at the moment. Since the 80s, hunger rates have been declining since the 80s. For 40 years, hunger rates were declining. But in the space of just 3 years, rates of malnutrition and extreme hunger have doubled. So we're talking about... It doubled. So we're talking about 35 million being on the brink of famine in 39 countries. We're talking about 149 children stunted. We're talking about 783 million facing hunger. I don't want to fill the time up with stats and numbers, but the bottom line is that hunger is on a very, very sharp rise, and we're in a crisis situation, and children are at the forefront of that. And we are running this campaign because we want to raise awareness. We want to get emergency food programmes further in place and to where they're needed, and deal with this in a more long-term and sustained way, but also look for more governmental commitments around sustained action in these areas. So it sounds like a massive amount of money. We're lucky that we're in a position. We've been in existence for 70 years. We have the global infrastructure, we have the personnel, we have the experience, we have people working on the ground where this aid is needed and this support is needed. But we need so much more. There is enough. The campaign name says it all. There's enough food being produced globally, but it's not being distributed properly. Food prices have rocketed in the past few years. You've got the post-COVID situations. We see that the World Food Programme, for example, are paying 44% more for the same food per month than they were before the COVID pandemic. Wow. And that we're getting by in this part of the world. We can make our choices. We have choice. But in other parts of the world, children are hungry, are dying, are facing starvation, are facing lives impacted by not having access to proper, decent, nutritional food. And that impacts, even if you survive that, it can impact on a generational level. A mother who's malnourished gives birth to a baby. Baby doesn't get off to the best start in life if she's not getting, she or he is not getting adequate breast milk. And so the implications of this are staggering, and I suppose we're on the brink of a real catastrophe. So that's why we've launched such an ambitious campaign. And I know it's a difficult time of year for people. There's a lot of money being spent. But I suppose how we look on something as simple as food, and we're all talking about what we're going to have on our table on Christmas Day, and will we cook turkey this year again, or will we go mad and cook a duck?
And
we're talking
people
about
across the world just can't get food.
Yeah, their questions are: will I have food today? Will I have food next week? A mother looking at her child and wondering, will she be able to feed that child today? So I suppose the message that I'm trying to get out to the people of Waterford today, who have already been incredibly generous and have supported us all the way, but the message that we're trying to get out is, you're going around doing your Christmas shopping. If you can please just put some of that money that you have, maybe don't buy the large gift set, maybe buy the slightly smaller gift set, and give some of that money to worldvision.ie is our website.
I was just going to ask you, that was the next thing.
Worldvision.ie, and just look up World Vision, you'll get all our contact details. It's very easy to get through to us. And that's the message. Please spare a thought, because it's not just like, yes, people can be paralysed, I suppose, and feel that they can't do something on something as massive as global hunger hitting us like a steam train in this situation. But actually, when we're dealing with an organisation like World Vision, I mean, at a national level, we're blessed that we're supported very generously with institutional funding from the government. Our Irish Aid funding allows us to put long-term programs. I've spoken to you before about those programs that we have in places like Tanzania, where I visited, Uganda, where I visited, and Nepal, where we have long-term programs where we go in for 10, 15, 20 years and enable a community to build resilience and build sustainability over the long term, so that when we step away, we have communities functioning and independent and able to grow food even in challenging situations. But we have an emergency at the moment, and so emergency food responses need to come into place. And obviously the more long-term stuff and the awareness building and the advocacy and political engagement and policy is part of that. But step one is to get food to children who are on the brink of starvation.
Worldvision.ie, anybody listening this morning, but also those figures, again, just in terms of people having conversations over the next week to think about those things and to think about it. And thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and thanks for your time and support, Damien.
No, not at all.
And thanks to the people of Waterford who, as I said, have been incredibly supportive to us, and we need it, and it's money that's very, very well spent. You know, we're very transparent, open, dedicated organisation that's long established. We can make things happen, and we do.
It's the first time speaking to you since the death of your father. I just want to extend my sympathy and the sympathy of everybody here at the station on the death of your father. A lot of people would have known him over the years.
Damien, I appreciate it.
There was a lovely article you've written on, it's in the News and Star, and it's online as well. And tough time for Christmas.
Look, but you know, I mean, Dad was a man who was always interested in supporting causes, and you know, the hospice in particular was a big one for him, and so maybe I'm carrying on a little bit of that passion that he had, but he's missed. He was quite the character. But thanks for your empathy, Damien.
Jacqui Corcoran, Head of Communications and PR with World Vision Ireland and worldvision.ie. Thank you very much, and talk to you.